Good morning, David Paul here. I'm. It's what is it? It's the more about 9:30, 9:20 on the 22nd of June, and I've been at this a while now. Since the 16th, my birthday, and still homeless. Let's be realistic about this. Um, this is a situation I kind of designed in a way. Um, I could have stayed in the Philippines and really struggled, but I put everybody in a sort of park mode and decided to come back here and try and seek work. Well, I've got a few job possibilities which have been emailed yesterday, and I'm following them up. And in September, I'll be able to start work full time, probably. There's lots of work then. So for the moment, the plan is to continue doing what I'm doing and to advance further up the Grand Union Canal and take a look at this boat, which has been lying abandoned for years, and I was told to take years ago. See if that's still there. Barring that, I've got one plan, which is to build a boat. It's what's called what's it called? A shanty boat. It's a raft with a cabin on top. And I've been planning on doing one of these for years, so that'll be a great adventure, and I've figured out where all the resources are for that. Problem is, the containers that I want to use to float it on used to be plentiful, but this recycling system that I got nowadays is so efficient that they're probably being recycled. Never mind, I will find something that will do the job, and if necessary, if absolutely necessary, I'm going to have to purchase some. So that's that one plan. And then the other thing is I've got to go and visit my boat in Norfolk and pick up some essential bits and bobs there. One thing in particular that I would really recommend to anyone if they're trying this sort of living in the wilds kind of thing is to buy themselves a Kelly kettle. It's a sort of water heater that runs on bits of twigs and whatever pine cones and stuff like that, or just bits of sticks, and you can heat about, I don't know, maybe almost a gallon of water in that, and you can take a shower and do all sorts of things. Really empowering sort of device. 5 minutes and you've got water heated up. This heating water on campfires is not very efficient. The Kelly kettle is terrific. Anyway, I thought I decided I don't have a sponsor for this, obviously, who would sponsor you to be homeless. But I've decided I'm going to give a shout out for my sponsor, who are not my sponsor, my non-sponsor. And my non-sponsor is Decathlon. Marvellous organisation, Decathlon. And here's the trick with them. They're sort of pan-European. They're a French company, but they've got loads of outlets in the UK. You also have one down in Portugal as well. I have one. That's what that's to me. So the key is you can buy equipment at Decathlon. For example, you could buy a gas heater, a little camping gas stove. You could buy all the equipment for that, and you could use it in the UK. Then you could say go to another country, in my case Portugal. You're not allowed to take gas equipment, obviously, on an aeroplane. However, you can take the equipment, but not the gas cylinder. So use up your cylinder, and then go to Portugal, and you're going to get the things that fit it because it's a Decathlon device. There's a device they've got which is a sort of biomass stove thing. I'm going to buy that as soon as I get the opportunity. No, I'm in Watford at the minute. There's no Decathlon as far as I know here. It's down in Uxbridge. So I will definitely buy that. As for gas equipment, I'm not absolutely sure about that. Maybe not. I don't like depending on stuff like that because what are you going to do when you run out of gas? Whereas nature will provide you with endless amounts of material to burn on fires, particularly tiny fires. Daily, I'm managing to cook on just on a wood fire, light a fire at the edge of the forest. And the strange thing is, you sit there, you make a cup of tea in a pan of porridge, or cook in the evening. People walk past and don't say a damn thing, or they will just say hi, and that's it. So they don't engage you in conversation. So they're not likely to interfere with what you're doing because that's kind of. I don't want to get into a conversation with somebody about this because then it leads to other things and where you're camping and so on. And I don't want my site to be discovered. The strange thing about the place I'm in is a sort of copse. So it's not part of the main forest. And what I've discovered is it's lighter here, it's less damp, and nobody bothers me here anyway. So I'm taking a sort of daily risk thing. The way I see it is somebody could discover my tent. What they could do is they could steal my tent and everything in it. Well, there's a few clothes in it, and I take all my valuable things with me in my rucksack, and I take my bike with me. So the consequence of that would be I would lose a £30 tent. Well, how often might that happen? Probably once every 20 years or never. So after the first few days of this, you've saved so much money by doing this. You just say, God damn it, I lost my tent, and go buy another one. And that's not going to happen anyway. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm probably going to buy some combo camouflage cover for the tent. Um, but I'd like to talk about this tent and Decathlon equipment. This tent is absolutely superb. You might think that the best thing would be to get a single man tent, a one man tent. Problem with that's for real extreme backpacking living, and it's not. I don't think it's a useful thing for actually living in a tent. So I would go for a two-man tent. When I was down in Portugal before I fell in that ravine, I was living in a three-man tent because I'm living on my own land and I can have the space. This tent is only 4 feet wide by about 6 foot 6 long. That's a very relevant set of dimensions because if you buy this tent, you can fit it on top of two pallets. So you somewhere around out there in the world, there is a pallet to be had and another pallet. You get these two pallets, lay them on the floor. This site is not level, which is a real pain in the neck at night time. And I could do something about that, but I'm not going to start shoveling earth and things. Um, and so you could level those pallets up by just chocking them up. In addition to that, it takes you off the cold earth, and with a bit of tweaking, you could actually make the pallets by cutting grooves, slits in the length of the pallet. You could actually make them softer so that they had a bit of spring in them. Don't know if I'll go that far, but it will certainly be a lot softer than this hard earth with stones sticking in my back and all sorts, and it'll be warmer. So yesterday I bought a blanket, which is a kid's blanket, but it seemed a very good quality thing, and I thought I can use it for my new boy, Basti. I'll wash it and it'll become his blanket because I'm trying not to buy too many things. Um, so anyway, the name of the tent is the Quetcha 2-man tent. It's tent 100 and extremely well made, double skinned, and you get to It's relatively warm, but you get a lot of spare time doing this sort of thing, and you get a lot of time to think and think of ideas. Came up with a brilliant one today. So what I'm hoping to do, it plugged up. I've got terrible hay fever. That's one disadvantage of this. I'm going to get some drugs, some hay fever blocker, and then I'll be fine. What you do is there's a type of insulation material that you can buy. It's got a silver backing to it. And I'm going to go and investigate these because there are numerous types of things that you can get. There's a thing that you put on car windscreens, which is more like a fabric, less likely to tear. And there's this other stuff which comes in a roll. You can buy it at builders merchants, and you can also buy it at where at Wilco. So my idea is to insulate the between the sheet, the inner sheet of this tent and the fly sheet, insulate with that stuff. So if I put a torch on at night, nobody will be able to see that. Not that anybody's bothered around here, and I don't put a torch on anyway. But so that'll do that, and then that should that should boost the insulation value of this tent tremendously. And it's making me wonder, could I do this in winter time? Well, here's the thing about winter camping. My take on it is that the problem with winter camping is you need some sort of heat. So what you need to then do is buy a camping stove, a wood stove which fits inside of a tent stove. That's what they call it. My son has one. Problem with that is that you've now got to start buying. You've now got to start getting wood or buying some kind of fuel to power this thing. And also, it's a big giveaway. It's a huge thermal signature in the forest. Any, if police were wanting to clear people out of an area, so it's bad for that, and it's also a lot of work. So the idea I have, I've got to do some calculations on this. But if you sleep in a tent, obviously it's better to sleep in a tent than sleep outdoors. So therefore, the tent is providing some sort of insulation to you, even just from your body heat. Now, a human being knocks out about 100 watts in body heat. If I had another man in here, not that I like that, but if I had another man sleeping in this tent with me, we would probably be quite warm. So what about like maybe 3 men or something like that? Well, I believe, I'm not sure, I've got to check this out, but a candle produces about 100 watts. So if the candle was fat and you ate the fat and then you metabolized it and released it as heat, you'd be knocking out 100 watts. Whichever way it goes, it's just energy. So the idea is that what I'll do is I will use a candle to heat the tent, but I'm going to have an exhaust pipe glue on it, which will get rid of the fumes so that there's no chance of poisoning myself. And I'll also get a carbon monoxide detector, and I'll put the candle inside a container so that it can't sort of get loose and set fire to the tent or anything like that. So I put one candle in, and then I'll try 2 candles, 3 and 4, whatever it takes. Well, here's the thing. I have to have some kind of fluid system. So my plan is I have a little power supply, which the purpose of which is to charge mobile phones. I must blow my nose. Sorry to all the Filipinos who are offended by people blowing their nose. So the plan is to use a little power supply and purchase a small computer fan. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rig up a pipe which connects to the top of my Kelly kettle. I'm going to use the Kelly kettle for this. So I'll put the things inside the Kelly kettle, and I'll fit a flue to the top of the Kelly kettle. I'll not put any water in it, or some other kind of vessel that I'm going to burn a candle in. And then this tiny whisper fan, I'm going to fit to the end of the chimney device. But here's the trick. I'm going to run it across the bottom of the tent, out the doorway, and not through the top as normal. So that would not work. That will not work as a sort of heating system, because you need to have a flue. The thing has to rise and draw and allow fresh air to go in the thing. But my trick is that by using the fan, I don't need to worry anymore about the flue not drawing anymore. It will flow down the pipe. All the heat will be extracted from the gases coming off the candle, and it'll go out the doorway. Now, if you extracted all the heat out of a flame and you were burning it on a conventional fire sort of system, the gases would cool, head back down in some sort of way, and potentially poison you. But this is not going to happen because I've got this forced ventilation. Now, the thing about the exit point is that fitting a whisper fan on the top of a fire, what is effectively a stove system, would normally result in the whisper fan getting burnt out, or it's not going to be doing it any good. But in this particular instance, it doesn't matter, because that gas has passed all the way through the cooling pipe. By the time it arrives, it's going to be like cold, or at the worst body temperature, something like that. So that's the plan. And my ultimate plan is to get a boat on a canal. And what I'm thinking now, I'm being so successful with this tent living, I'm beginning to wonder whether I should even bother. In fact, just become more effective at living in this tent, because I'm highly mobile like this. So what I would do is buy a plastic barrel, dig a hole in the ground somewhere, like this location I'm at now, bury the barrel, cover it over with grass, and put things inside there that need to be stored that I can't carry around. So I don't have to be carrying everything around everywhere. And then I've now got a working system. My role model is a guy called Glenn Vanilio or something like that, a French name. And he lives in Alaska, and he goes camping in the Brooks Range in Alaska. And he just lives off the land. Well, if I was to model his behaviour and do it myself, but not live off the land, I can go to Sainsbury's and do all sorts of things, get the internet, go to the library, sit there all day working. All these facilities are available to me that aren't available to him, and I don't have to hunt deer or whatever, and worry about where the next meal's coming from, because I have pensions coming in. So basically, this, compared to what he's doing, should be a walk in the park. Should be really, really easy. The next thing I'm going to fix up is a methodology for taking a shower, and that's going to consist of just a bucket and scoop and do it like the Philippines and have a shower. Once I get the Kelly kettle, I'm up and rolling on that business. One of my problems I'm finding is the lack of a source of water, but I'm working on that. The the solution will come forward. It could be going into public toilets and just filling up a container and bringing it back to the tent to be able to have the showers, but I really don't want to do that. What I would like is to be near a water point on the canal system and just fill up from there. So I thought that what I could do, because of my address that I'm putting down as my home address, that's generating jobs which are in the region of that address. And that's not entirely convenient, especially considering that I could be anywhere. I would just move. I'm so mobile now. So I come up with the idea about with regard to the boat. I still want to get the boat, but what I could do is just lie about having a boat. Just say my address is so and so. However, I happen to have a canal boat, which I could move into the location of any other address that you care to choose that you want to send me on jobs on. And then nobody ever sees my boat, so what the hell? Whether I've got a boat or not doesn't really matter. So that's my cover story. I've got a boat on the canal, and the more time you spend down by the canal doing the kind of things I'm doing, the more you kind of fit in. People just assume that you're living on a boat, so you can walk around there looking rather raggy. But I make a point of not looking like that. I make sure I get a shave and stuff like that, and wear decent clothes and so on. Because there are laundrettes. Just take your stuff to the laundry. So anyway, rambled on for a long time, but for people who want to do this kind of thing, or have no choice because you're homeless, uh, don't despair. It's doable. And of course, once you get into the real wilds, like real forests and stuff, then everything becomes possible. However, the shopping situation is a bit of a problem. So there you go. Anyway, that's enough for today, and more news tomorrow possibly.